All right, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered abroad. This is Brother Barbazar here with a lesson, and Lord willing, that's edifying. All right, and the title of this lesson will be War is Here, the Mark is Next. Right, going into prophecy, right, because clearly we're here, right, at World War III. We're seeing the flock drawing them out, going into the small hats, right, in that area known as the so-called Middle East, right. U.S. going at it, U.S. and the small hats going at it with Iran, and we're seeing prophecy unfold before our very eyes, man. All right, and soon, the next prophecy that we're looking for is the mark. And then followed by the MOTB being implemented, made mandatory. We're going to be looking at the return of Yahweh Shai. You see? So this is clearly a great time in prophecy. And hey, this is the moment that brothers have been looking forward to. All right. But first I want to start off with some scriptures going into the third woe. So this is the book of Joel 3. And start at 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all of the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Yeah, so the Lord is pretty much having these different nations come in that warlike spirit, right? And it's kind of a foreshadowing because you had the U.S., right? I believe it was Department of Defense. Now they're called the Department of War, right? So, we're pretty much seeing that spirit of war, right, come upon these different nations, right? Especially, Iran, right? In the scriptures in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, it goes into, the Ishmaelite nations, pretty much, teaming against Iran, right? Going against the U.S. because the U.S. currently has certain bases set up in the so-called Middle East in these different, Ishmaelite countries or Muslim countries, right? But as this thing has been going on and, Iran has been bombing these different areas and the U.S. has been providing that protection, right? Because the deal was the U.S. would provide protection to these different countries in exchange for, the petrodollar deal, right? But you currently see that, these different, as far as this war keeps going on, these different Ishmaelite countries is going to start to turn their back on the U.S., seeing that, it was all BS. All right, so, soon, and what's been going on with this war as well, the more that this war is being prolonged, we're seeing the economy is starting to get affected, right? Gas prices start to raise up. So very, very soon, we're going to already see the economy crash, right? The U.S. is implementing that USD1, right? That digital currency. So we're seeing everything fall into play how it's supposed to fall into play, right? And then after that, Esau, he's going to implement the MOTB. All right, but to keep reading, it says, verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Yeah, and how are they doing that, right? Because, the modern day sword, the modern day spear, that's pretty much going into these different missiles, right? Thermonuclear power, right? All these different weapons of war, modern day weapons of war, these are the current day spears and swords. And when it says, let the weak say I am strong, that's going into these weaker nations teaming up in aligning themselves with these different, forming alliances with these different superpowers. And also, developing thermonuclear technology, you see? And we understand that the nations are going to be mad, and these nations, is going to turn against the U.S., even NATO. All right. Verse 11, it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, because thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened, meaning they're going to wake, what's going to be wakened is that warlike spirit, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which that means Yahweh Shaphat, meaning, the Most High's judgment, right? Which that area, of course, is in the so-called Middle East. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Yeah. So that's where so that's where the war is going to start, right? In the so-called Middle East. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 6 and 8. It says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So this is these different prophecies that's happening, all the hell that's breaking loose across the world, right? We got to come into Jacob's trouble, the MOTB, Yahweh Shai's return. This is all coming soon, because this is the end of Esau's kingdom, right? So we looking for what? The beginning of it that followeth, which is the Israelites being in rulership. You see, establishing that righteous kingdom, putting the heathens in slavery. All right. So this is the book of Revelation 13 to 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? Which the image of the beast goes into this Roman beast system, right? The laws, philosophies, right? The way of this life. It says that the image of the beast shall both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's going into the MOTB, all right, which we're going to read, verse 16. He causeth all, both small and great, rich or poor, free or bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So the mark is going into charagma. It's going into something physical, an incision, all right, a mark of servitude, a badge of servitude, all right. And if you take that mark, no matter where on your body, right, but the main place will be your hand and your head, right, your forehead. If you take that mark, that means you are fully in line with this beast system. You're worshiping that beast, the ultimate portrayal of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. That's why, as men of the Lord, right, the elect, we encourage not to take that, because once you take that mark of the beast, it's pretty much over. There's no repentance after that. After that, it's just, you're going to get hit by that missile. All right. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So if you don't have that mark, you won't be able to buy, sell, trade. You'll be an outcast from society. Esau gonna be looking to put you to death. You see? So that's how you know that the mark has to be something physical, something tangible. Okay? Not spiritual, not an embargo, not a philosophy. This is something that's physical that Esau's gonna be looking to put inside of you in order to control you. You see, to track you, to be like the Most High. All right. Verse 18, here is wisdom. And him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And Esau likes to put that number in his barcodes, his products, his symbols, movies, shows, right? Esau is obsessed with that number 666, all right? This is the book of Revelation 19 and 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. And this is the reason why we go into these prophecies. This is the reason why we're so excited seeing World War III, because we understand that this is the beginning of the end to this man's kingdom. We at the end of this man's kingdom, and there's only a couple more prophecies left for this kingdom to be fully destroyed and for the kingdom of heaven to be established. So if you're not constantly going into prophecy and you consider yourself a man of the Lord or a prophet, then you're really a false prophet, because you're supposed to be going into prophecy. It's too much going on in the world right now for you to be focused on folly. All right. Verse 11, it says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." This is going into Yahweh Shai, and that's what he's coming back to do, to judge and make war, right? And save the elect as well, right? Because when Yahweh Shai comes back, he's going to wage war with the heathen, because they're going to try to fight Yahweh Shai. But of course, Yahweh Shai is going to win that fight, overcome these different nations, put them into slavery, with the elect, right? So anybody that is fighting in this war, is eventually going to have to come against Yahweh Shai, you see? And that's how you know that, these different, because, the elder Yakawa, he went to a excellent point. These different nations that's fighting in this war, these people that's fighting in this war, right? The small hats, the Americans, Babylonians, right? These ain't, these ain't the men of the Lord, right? The small hats, these ain't men of the Lord. These ain't those that are going to be saved. These are those that's in prophecy, that's going to get destroyed and put into slavery. And that's actually going to come against Yahweh Shai. That's what's in the scriptures. All right. But I'll read that again. Revelation 19:11. "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." Yeah. So, hey, that'll do it. Well, actually, let's read this. Revelation 19:19, "And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army." This is, you see, the beast system, right? Going into the 7 heads and 10 horns, right? NATO and the EU nations. They're gonna come up against Yahweh Shai. "And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped this image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone." So that's going into, they're going to be destroyed. Everybody that took the mark, everybody that's coming against Yahweh Shai, fighting in World War III, all these different people, they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be destroyed by Yahweh Shai, right? And those that, survive, that's heathens, they're going to be put straight into slavery. All right, but, that'll do with the lesson. And Lord willing, it was edified. So with that, I like to give all the honor and praise and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Ra Hakodash. Shalom.